Good morning and Merry Christmas. Please be seated. It is through Christ we have eyes to see in the darkness of this world. All of my life, I have harbored two fears. One is the fear of spiders. Inasmuch as I respect and admire the creation of nature, I've never understood why God made creatures who bite, may be poisonous, and move with such stealth through the world. I suppose they redeemed themselves by eating vast amounts of insects. This past summer, I was afforded the opportunity to travel with 6 other women into the wilderness of the Boundary Waters in northern Minnesota. The Boundary Waters, if you don't know, is a federally protected wilderness canoe area consisting of over 1 million acres, which includes 3/4 of the 547-mile boundary between Minnesota and Ontario, Canada. The environment is beyond beautiful. The companionship was amazing. And the experience pushed me beyond my physical and emotional limits. During my week in the wilderness, there appeared to me 5 wolf spiders, up close and personal. Now, if you're not familiar with wolf spiders, here's a description. They are the northern version of the desert tarantula. Some are small, about the size of a quarter, and we have those here in Michigan. I have found them in my yard. But in Minnesota, they are the size of a saucer. They are hairy. Females carry their babies on their backs, and if disturbed, hundreds of babies disperse like an explosion. The first wolf spider appeared the first night on an empty bunk in our cabin at base camp. 2 more joined me in the shower building at base camp at the end of the trip. The other 2 arachnids met us in the wilderness, one on a boulder I came into physical contact with. Yeah, I was steering the canoe. And the other crawled out of one of our backpacks in camp one night. Upon my return home, I pondered and prayed and told stories about my experiences, including my spider encounters. But it was my spiritual director who suggested that God was in the spiders. Not the God of warm and cuddly, but the John the Baptist-like God, a spider-like messenger who lived in the wilderness wearing clothes of camel's hair and living on locusts and wild honey. It was he who reveals the presence of Jesus. John came as a witness to testify to the light. Another fear I have is fear of the dark. As a child, and now as an adult, I require some kind of light at night. Night lights litter our house, and a flashlight sits on the table next to my bed. In the Gospel of John, we hear that Jesus was with God from the beginning, creating all things, and that Jesus is the true light that shines in the darkness. It is through Christ we have eyes to see in the darkness of this world. Light. It is required by our human eyes to produce vision. Light enters our cornea. The amount of light is controlled by the pupil. The eye bends the light reflected off of objects and turns it into signals that our brain can understand. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. In the Galatians reading today, it explains how before Jesus was born, we were imprisoned and guarded under the law. These laws, revealed through Moses in the Old Testament, gave people a way to live that would help them survive and live a holy life in this world. Then when we were ready, God created again and came to us in human form as Jesus. He came to redeem us and to teach us that we are heirs to the kingdom. It is through Christ we have eyes to see in the darkness of this world. Recently, I watched a video created by Soul Pancake about a fourth grade class in Southern California who wanted to make a difference. When asked by their teacher how they would change their community, they started sharing their dreams and hopes on how they could brighten it up, how they could bring in more light. They focused on a homeless shelter that was housing 100 children and came up with plans for a playground on the property of the facility. Children as heirs see the possibilities of joy. A local insurance company followed up on the plan and funded the project. And to the surprise and delight of the students, their plan was carried out and the playground was built. Jesus came to what was his own, and his own people did not accept him. But to all who received him, who believed in his name, he gave power to become children of God, who were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, or of the will of man, but of God. When God creates, Jesus is there. When Jesus is born, God is there. When the true light shines, love is poured out. And when spiders appear, anticipate the coming of glory. Merry Christmas.